Okay, everyone, we'll get started here in just a few seconds. Tonight on the call, we're going to get an update from John Eide with how General Assembly went, and we will talk to Vasil on how his kids endured their or are enduring their first summer, and so we'll hear from him, and maybe Vika will be there to add the real truth, and then we'll talk to Jon Powell about the 1 week English camp and then the follow up with university students here with a focus more specifically on how the war has impacted students and their ability to engage with the camp and how the camp is different because of that. So hopefully everyone can hear and everyone can follow along. I want to start with some of the hmm, there we go. Some pictures from this week. And this is a picture of a week ago, about a week and 2 days ago, just to give a sense on how much the attacks have increased, both the intensity and the number of attacks. This was July 11th, as I recall, and you'll notice the yellow or orange, which are the drones. And so they start, you can see from different places there and zip around the country. Then you have the red, which would be the rockets or missiles, kind of a cruise missile, from what I can tell. And then, and you guys can correct this if you want. And then the blue are the ballistic ones. So those are the ones that you've got minutes. And probably from there, it's probably 12 minutes, I would guess, something along those lines. So you can see Lutsk, which is above Lviv in the western part there, you can see is the main focus. And you can see these missiles can wind all the way through and try and set off for whatever reasons, flying all over. And now they're using more dummy drones. So some of the drones aren't actually loaded with any kind of warhead, just filled with fuel and a decoy. And this is the next night. Okay, so this night before, you're talking probably three to 4 hours of air raid sirens up for this to take place. The next night, which is a Friday, this is what happens. You can see it's hit really quick here in a matter of minutes in Kharkiv, which is a very large city. The capital is getting hit probably more than it has been so far. This night, Odessa wasn't hit, but they're usually hit every night, along with Zaporizhia. Chernivtsi was hit. Some civilians were killed. Lviv was bombed. You saw those statistics in the letter, though there weren't any casualties, at least reported. And then Lutsk is hit again. And I'm not exactly sure what these particular attacks have to do. It might be that weapons are moving now. I know they were hitting some infrastructure, but the emphasis tonight is more on the psychological impact of having to do this over and over. I don't know if that's legible, but if not, you can see people sleeping in a basement. And it talks about 80% of Ukrainians are trapped in chronic stress from nightly Russian attacks. And so you have people waking up in the morning after spending 3, 4 hours in the basement, uh, something like that. Then in the morning have to get up, go to work. The next night, this goes on, and it's gotten much worse in Kiev and Odessa and further east. Lviv, we have it kind of easy, I think, compared to the rest of the country. Um, but I don't think, I mean, our church members, that one night with all the explosions and stuff, that was a ton to deal with. If we had that every night, I don't know what would happen to us just mentally and psychologically. So here, this was the internship. So this was an air raid during the day. And so anytime something comes up, the air raid comes on, you got to take it seriously. And so here we're just sheltering inside the hallway. But at night, we had some guests in town who were coming to help with the camp. So this is in the middle of the night. We get up. We have one small bathroom downstairs. And so we all just kind of crowd in and wait it out. The problem is you're waiting in there. This night there wasn't. I frankly I don't remember this night, but um, yeah, I don't remember what happened here. But on the next night that I was in there with just the family, the guests had left. This I want to share a video, if I can. So bear with me here. I'm gonna see if and guys, let me know if this video actually works. If it has sound, that would be incredible, because that's really what I'm after here. So let me see here. So this is from right around the street, right around the corner. This is probably yes less than 100 meters, 150 meters from my house. And this is what it sounds like when these Shahedi drones come in. So let me know if you hear it. It'll take probably about another 10 seconds or so. Do you hear anything? Okay, watch. Okay, you see the flash. I don't think you guys hear anything, do you, John?
Negative. No.
Okay. So I'm not sure why that's not playing, but that's okay. Well, it's probably good for you because then you don't have to deal with it. The sound is just horrible. I tell you what I'll do, what I can do, um, is that video. It just bear with me. We're having technical difficulties here because we do not put a lot of our money into production. We're passing it along to Ukrainians. It's all going straight to aid. That's why this is so bad. So listen to this, John. Um, so here you go. See if you can hear this. It'll increase. So yeah, it's horrible to listen to. So that's what's going on while we're kind of sheltering in place. And oh, great. Now it's on repeat. That's going to be traumatizing. Okay, hang on. Like I said, we're on a low budget here on production. Uh, but that gives you an idea of what's going on in these sheltering things. So I'm sitting in this with Sophia and Masha, and you're hearing that thing come right over your head, and it sounds like that in your place. And John, I don't know if that Jon Powell, if you get the same sound. I'm sure it's the same type sound, uh, but it really messes with people psychologically. And so everyone at at church is just a little bit wobbly after that, having to deal with the sound and the sheltering and the constant attack. So, long story short, the attacks have increased everywhere. It makes it very difficult. There's obviously hope that Ukrainians get money to produce their own weapons, defend themselves. It seems like the some in the U.S. Are waking up to who Russia is and what they're about, which they're not changing. I think some of the isolationists might be pushed out by some other people that have more of a long term global strategy. But more than anything, we just thank you for your prayers. Prayers for the church, prayers for people, because everyone is just on edge. And it's easy for Russia. All they have to do is destroy, just destroy, 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 and not try and do anything positive. And so that this better helps you know how to pray for the families and uh, and the people across Ukraine. So, John, can you tell us a bit about? I'm going to show a picture here of GA. This is Yvonne. Was at GA? You see the picture on the screen there of
Yes.
Yvonne?
Yes. We had
Oh,
Ivan. Ivan. It's written. Ivan is pronounced Ivan, and his wife Lucy are there with the black suit coat on, and she has a black dress. He is the pastor of Holy Trinity Presbyterian Church in Kiev. He has been in Kiev every day for the last 3.5 years, which, as Doug said, is not a pleasant place to be. He lives on the, I think, 11th floor. He said to me a couple of times, he's seen these drones pass by his, I mean, he looks out the window and there goes one. So that sound that Doug played a second ago is burrowed in his head as well as everybody else's in Ukraine. And we did this last year, and we did this year again, trying to get Ukrainians in leadership, in pastoring or leadership to the states to tell stories about what life is like and ministry is like in Ukraine to the American church, and as big of audiences as we can. We were able to do that last year, and we did that this year again. It's not an easy task because he needs special permission to get out of the country, and we were able to get that, and it came, as I understand, the final permission that he needed came about an hour before. Doug drove him over the border. Thanks, Doug, for driving him over the border, got him to the airport or train station in his case, and got him to the States. And then we sent him on a world tour, so to speak, not world, but U.S. tour of churches. And one of the stops was at the PCA's General Assembly, where we got him a whole bunch of exposure and the Ukrainian church as well. We had a breakfast one morning with about 200 participants. We had a booth that he stood by, and people stopped by and talked to him. And then that's the breakfast where we had him speaking that morning on or Wednesday morning, and then we got him up in front of all of the General Assembly, all whatever 2,000-3,000 people in the hall, and he was able to speak to the whole group for just a few minutes about the situation in Ukraine and bring greetings from the church in Ukraine. So, as much exposure as we could have gotten, we got. And then after that, before and after that, he went to a bunch of churches, and one in Ohio, and then and all around Philadelphia, New York City, went to Redeemer in New York City. We got him in front of a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of wonderful donors and stuff. So, yeah, and he was absent. I don't know if everybody on this call has heard, but the last 2 months, especially in Kiev, but in Ukraine as well, it's just been absolute bombardment. There's this, it seems like a new swarm strategy with just a whole swarm of drones, as Doug just mentioned. Some of them are dummy drones, and some of them are not. But you have to take all of them seriously. And he was out for 2 weeks of that. Hopefully, was able to decompress and heal. And then the night he got back was Kiev's worst attack, which is a hard thing because every time there's a worst attack, next week there's a worser attack, and then the bar keeps going up. But I think it was 450 of those drones that Doug just played came into Kiev that night. But he's safe, and everyone is safe, and we're glad to be able to get him to the States, to give him a break, and to get him in front of a whole bunch of folks. So, yeah.
Good. Well, thank you, Jon, for doing that and all the hard work it was to get Yvonne on. That was
Yep.
a lot of work to
Yep.
get him out and try again. So
We got him. It was one of the things we got him. Him and his wife at a meal with the coordinator of MTW, Lloyd Kim, and he told Lloyd stories, and the Lord is now telling those stories to people and donors. So it's just you trying to get information out as much as you can. Keeping the reminders up and available for people to hear.
okay. All right. Well, thank you, Jon. We'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
Other ways we can pray?
Yeah, I'm traveling right now back to my home state, and we've got one of our family members who has cancer and is not doing well. So I'm here visiting them. So I've kind of been offline for a little while, but yeah, after Yvonne's visit. So yeah, please pray for my sister and for me as I continue to reengage with Ukraine. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jon, for your time. I know you got to get on the road. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
Next up, we're going to talk to Vasya. Let me show a few photos here first. I just want to answer real quickly. I got this in the Q&A. People would like to provide money for Crates for Ukraine humanitarian aid, which is great. Other people would like to provide funds for lethal aid for defense or drones, etc. We haven't had a lengthy conversation about that. None of our aid money that we get in goes toward lethal drones, but regular church members have started their own private businesses of making drones and raising money for drones. So if you're interested to know uh, ways that you can donate, not to us, but donate to Ukrainian believers who are trying to put together defense structures, feel free to write me at ukrainetexas at gmail, and then I can get you more detail on that. None of our aid money, however, goes toward lethal weapons, at least at this point. I guess it depends on how you use some of these things. They could be used lethally on the front, I suppose. But all of it is first aid and aid relief, not weapons. But the church here is active in trying to help raise money, produce, make, design, and innovate with respect to protecting women and children in Ukraine. So hopefully that answers some of the questions. It's a sticky, thorny issue. Everyone has to follow their conscience on it. But whenever someone's coming to kill your wife and children, your conscience gets kicked in a different way. So let me share some more pictures real quickly about what happened this summer before we talked to Vasi and Vika. We had a camp. This is Jon Powell speaking at summer camp. Jon does work year round to get ready for this camp. The camp had 50 new students. It had 11 student staff. It had 5 members of the church that were involved with that, 22 U.S. volunteers, plus the regular church planning team here involved. And so that was a very big deal that finished 2 weeks ago. It finished, and it was great. Vasya and Vika with their kids went up there. They kind of lived and were around. One of the goals of camp is to have families there. And even though the kids aren't able to participate in everything, it's just good for them to be a part of things. So that was a big deal. And we also just finished our VBS, which we call Levchiki, which means lion cubs. And so Masha was working with Dasha, and they just put together a team. They've been working on it all year. This last Friday was the conclusion of that. I think I sent some videos, both of the camp and Levchiki, of some songs that they sing, some catechism songs. The parents were coming. The statistics for this, and we were praying, and people were nervous. Would anybody come? Who knows about us? Would they come? So 40 kids came. Only 9 of those kids are from our contacts. 5 teenage volunteers. That means that we had, what is that, 31 kids that came that had no previous contact with us at all, which is great. The goal of this camp is just to alleviate suffering for parents and kids and give them something different than the sound of those attacking drones and explosions. 5 teenage volunteers, 9 student volunteers from the university ministry, and 18 adults from the church volunteered, and some were taking days off so they could donate their time, or half days. And so it was a big event. I just know this, Vika Voss, I don't know if you know this, but one girl, Lisa, she's 9 years old. She'd ride a scooter every day. And she was asking about, do you have stuff on Sunday? And so she came to church on her own. I mean, she's 9 and gets to ride around on a scooter. So she came to church today, and she's like, this is where I'm going to come. And then there was another family. He's been in the war since 2014, because that's when the war started. He, I think, is just being released. He's by self-admission, not in a good place mentally. The wife says, we need a community. So they rode a bus from outside of town to come into church today after being exposed to Levchiki. She used to work with children's camps. And she says, usually there's 1 or 2 things that's organized, and then you just send kids off in the corner to watch videos. But this one she hadn't seen anyone that cared for kids this way. And so it is a very well-run camp, and we're hoping that people will come. We had families there today. So that's some of the backstory. And then Vasya got up. We got, letting people know that the reason we love these kids is because of who we are as the church, and we want to minister to them. So we invite them to participate in things year round. And that was very good. Now we get to the Agarkov family. You guys look so good in this photo. You look just as good in video. You had your kids up in the mountains. This is the first summer. You guys are navigating all these different things. We had an American family come in and they spent time with you guys, and that American family brought 4 kids. So there was enough energy there to power a small city if we could have figured out how to capture it. Um, and so this is up the hill. This is Claire Jones. This is a helper that came up, Helia. And then Vika with the kids. So they would do like a camp up the hill in crafts. And so Vika was able to finish that. This is Vika on any given Sunday. And then here's the kids. You can see him in red. There's I think someone over here. The kids first camp in the mountains, then their first VBS or Levchiki, as we call it. And so they're running around like they own the place, learning all the songs. This is obviously the wise man built his house on the rock, right? They do it in Ukrainian and English. And so here are the 4 boys. It's one, two, three, four, all with Texas Ranger gear, which, that's nice to see. A lot of support from Texas coming in, I suppose. So, anyway, so that's what was going on. I wanted Vik and Voss to talk about what it's been like, both for the first summer with the kids. How did they respond at camp? Uh, how did they respond with the attacks? Because we've had these large scale attacks. I know they had attacks in the orphanage. How did that go? And then we'll go to how did it go with VBS? So first, how was camp up in the mountains for you guys?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like because it's first time when you have like 4 children with you in camp, and it's first time to them like see the mountains, see the pool, see a lot of people together, still a lot of students. So for me it was like last time with students. I have like only like first half day with students, and then I help with children. But for week it was like almost all day for these boys. It's like it was crazy, but but praise God, it's like it was good. It's like because of a lot of things first time to them, it was a lot of emotions, and they don't know how to handle them. So we try to help them to regular their emotions, because the last day they first time see bonfire and stuff like that. It's like little miracle, yeah. Vika, what's your perspective?
Well, I think Doug is not here. I don't know. Oh, I just continue. Okay. Well, it was a challenge, but at the same time, like I thought of it as a try. Like let's try and see, and I'm glad we did because actually it worked out well. Like my concern was that you don't want to go on a camp with so many students and with kids and be a burden to to people who organize it, so they have to take care of you or something. So I was worrying and praying, so nobody like breaks anything, nobody has fever or like some health issues. And thank God, like it was all good. Like I mean, yeah, they were emotional. I think first day they were like a little bit afraid just because of so many people. But then I think, yeah, they had their best times, like for sure. Of course, I was tired, but I'm like always tired. Doesn't matter if I'm at the camp or home. But I think that the experience of like previous generations who did camps with kids, like Masha, she helped me a lot. Like she kind of like you know guided me through like what to expect, what should we do, what we should prepare. Like she advised me to have Gela with me, and Gela took her vacation from work. That was a real blessing. Like she just helped me with basic stuff, like uh, when Vasya could like go and pray with the team and to be with students. So I think yeah, we tried it. I was happy that kids were all over the place and they had some of their best times. They're a little bit emotional, like I think that's normal. And yeah, we had this great family who came, Jones, and it was great. Like, um, they were, shocked kind of by change, by everything, and we were like a little bit, but then it all worked well. It was a blessing for me to see a Christian family who have four kids, but also for my kids, just to spend time with other older kids who like love them and care for them. And yeah, all those t-shirts we got them as gifts
Yeah.
from people who came to camp. Yeah, it was a blessing. I mean, it was tiring. I got sick, but kids were fine. Like,
Okay.
kids were good. And it was kind of like green light for us that we can do ministry with kids,
Yeah.
Right.
even though they've been just only for a couple months with us.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's one of our goals. It was like our children to meet with church people
Yeah.
and know them more, for them like feel much more comfortable in the church. So after the camp, like they have like a best friend from our church, and almost all know everyone from our church, so they
Yeah.
feel like in the home now in our
Right.
church.
Right. Right. Well, it's very encouraging to know how the Lord prepared everything and then kids, and then also knowing that you caring for your kids, raising your kids as covenant children is the ministry, and the Lord will bring a lot of families around you. So it was good to see you at camp. I know right after getting back at camp, I think that's when we had that attack. I think the attack was somewhere in the, I don't remember when it was, but what is it like for you guys? You guys are up the street from me. And so you're not far away from some of these explosions. How are the kids responding to that? How are you responding to that? What's your strategy for them, or what happened?
Yeah, so like it was like really scary attack to us because Russian they changed the drones and they fly on the little height, like it's feel like it's
Very close.
very close to your home. Yeah, and because of that they like create a lot of drones, so it's like feeling like a lot of drones like coming through your house.
Hmm.
And two of our boys, one older one, Kirilla, and one youngest one, is Oleg. They woke out because of explosions. Was near our apartment, and Kirilla was more scared even than
Mm.
Oleg. And two of our boys, they just sleep like all the time. Like it's like 15 explosions there.
Hmm.
Like, and
Yeah.
so we take the two boys who was woke up with us on like place where we
Like
don't
a
have
corridor or
corridor
hole.
hall, we don't have like a windows, and that it's like a safe place, and we
Safe place.
safe safe
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So we have like
Yeah.
I don't know, like 3 hours or how long it was.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it kind of was scary to me because it was like our first attack with kids, and it feels different, when it's just you. And we are thinking that we might need to think of some kind of, I don't know, procedure. It's hard for us to take them to the bomb shelter because they are asleep, and it's for kids. Like, it's not like you can carry all of them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's tricky.
mhm.
Yeah. It's tricky, and you don't know how that's going to impact them. You don't know how it's going to impact you. I think the
Yeah.
combination of um, head, moving them without waking them up, headphones and noisemakers, kind of mattresses in the hallway. We're trying all kinds of different things. My kids are getting old enough that they know I'm up to something. I can't carry any of my kids without them noticing. But I was surprised at how it seemed like the noises changed on the attack drones, and it seemed to you you I seem to hear a lot more stuff. Now, I wasn't here for the September attack, but
Mhm.
Masha's like, that's like the September attack. You get even louder. And so that made it really rough. And I know you guys were having it rough with the kids waking up. Um,
Yeah.
but then after that, you just get up the next day and try and make it. What do you talk about it later? How does it work as a family?
It's-
We we actually talked about it right away because Kirilo like ended up he was awake and he's like,
scary. So
yeah.
yeah. So we try
Mhm.
to like to read together like Psalm 90
Mhm.
and say like like God is like protecting us and what now Russians try to do, they are evil and they try to kill innocent people like civil people in Lviv. So God will punish that. So they feel like got on control, like two of them, and two of them who was asleep. We on the morning like talk with them about it and say it like what was happening and
Okay.
what we will do like on next time. And I think like on this day, like next day, we have like Iron Siren again, and we all together be like on the hall
Mhm.
before sleeping. And
Okay.
yeah,
And we were also reading the Psalm number 90. I don't
yeah,
Yeah.
know. Just something
Well,
we do.
I know this morning they're they really know what's going on at church because they're responding to everything in church. So their first Levchiki, which is our version of VBS for those in the States, they got to go to it. What was that like? I mean, you have to take them every day, and I think you're probably involved every day. What was it like as a parent taking your kid to Levchiki?
yeah. It's a little bit different because it's feel like I'm not only like helping this organization, but it's like my children is enjoy it. They really like have fun. They have like happiness and stuff like that, and they have new friends, and it's a little easier to talk with different parents
Mhm.
and like Vika was I don't know volunteer
Yeah.
on PBS, so she has like three more kids, like four and three more. It's like seven, and
Good. Increase it to seven, so when you
yeah,
go home, it feels like a break.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't by myself.
Right.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I was tired, but within this 3 months, it's weird, but I think I've got, all the skills that are needed, like to calm down a child, to take to the bathroom, wash hands. Like it's very easy for me now, where before I was just clueless, like how you do that. So I was very comfortable. Like we had 6 or 7 kids in my group. It was 4 or 5 year old kids. It was sweet. I enjoyed the girls. We had some of the cutest girls.
Mhm.
I loved it. It's tiring, it's tough, but uh some days were even some more easy for me because
Right.
there are many volunteers and you're not
Mhm.
just by yourself with
Right.
all those kids. And kids enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun and interesting. So many entertainment. Like, um, so yeah,
Did
I was
did
tired, but I liked it.
yeah,
It was good.
and children was excited
Yeah,
about it.
they.
They like said, "Oh no, we want to like this camp like continue and want to, 1 week more." We say, "Oh, it's
Cute.
like yeah," but
so
it's like a big work from volunteers and
Yeah.
like your wife. It's like
To
great.
entertain so many kids and like
Yeah,
to teach them something, yeah.
it's a great work. Yeah,
I'm,
and you see it's like different because like my kids for this week they like learn a lot of sounds in Ukrainian and English and like from our short catechism like answers and stuff like that. And they on today on the morning they singing the song from the camp.
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, I know. The kids sing in the catechism. It's incredible. Whenever they were coming home, every day? Obviously, you guys were tired. Were they singing stuff, talking about it, ready to go back?
Yeah, they played with their crafts and like seeing the, yeah, they would wear their name tags. Like yeah,
And cry if they like handcraft like
it's
broken.
broken.
It's like, oh no, why it's
Oh,
me? Why?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it was amazing to see them running around. They're definitely comfortable. I mean, there's and I think they can walk up to anybody and someone will pick them up, and they feel very at home at church. So it's very encouraging.
Yeah.
Are there other ways you've seen, God provide for you guys, even amidst some of the, the attacks, the difficulties, just things that you're encouraged about as you think over the summer?
Yeah, I think like I feel like our children, they feel like love from us and from our congregations, and because of that, they like, became a more fearless. Like
Mm.
Hmm.
they uh, they don't fear like old people. They know like this is the safe space, and they know like this is safe parents, and they love them, and they like no, not dangerous one,
Mhm.
like not like it was previous life. And
Hmm.
it's like interesting to me how love is changing the heart, and they like became much more brave. For example, they was afraid of water, like, and
Yeah.
on this student camp they have like pool, and like first time they was afraid, but then like next day they enjoyed the pool. And today like when they like take a bath, they just like pull with all hand ahead under the water, like. And previous they
Hmm.
afraid like water and go to their eyes or nose or
Right.
Yeah.
ears. But now they didn't afraid, they just enjoy it. And
Good.
you just feel and you just see how love and safe space like changed them
Hmm.
already for these 3 months. It's like it's God's miracle how God's changed us when we experience His love,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and how His gospel changed our heart, and we became more and more like fearless and more brave to live
Hmm.
in the gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt that the camp, the VBS, the Levchiki theme was water. I think it was right. So it kind of all they had kind of a water summer there. So, well, great. Well, I appreciate your time. I know it's late. You guys look really good. You don't even need to sleep. Many people are praying for you. We'll touch
Thank you.
base with you in the next month, in August or in September, just to see how things are going because the kids will be going to school starting in September. Now
Wow.
they're going to Taekwondo, learning to kick someone besides their brothers, and
Yeah.
so we'll be praying for you. And thank you so much for being willing to talk to us. And we look forward to what God is going to do through your family as you move forward. So thanks a lot for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. We
Thank you.
appreciate for your prayers, and like
It's a pleasure.
thank you for your all your supports. Like may God bless you all. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Okay, now I want to talk about camp with Jon Powell, the camp director. We're There's English language. We teach the Bible using English language. There's sports. Every night there's a theme of the day. This is John speaking in English here. And this is Sophia, one of the church members. And then there's 7 different color groups. You can see red, yellow, whatnot throughout the camp that they're broken up into. And so here's a picture of a English Bible class. They had to read the story. In this case, they had to read the story and reenact it or write their own questions. Um, and so there's different activities that go on. But John, I just want to ask you, how did it go for you? You've done a lot of these camps. What's your take on this camp, and what's your assessment of how it went?
Yeah, I think we're we're overall encouraged as we are every year. I think we've noticed though, as the war continues, that there are some new challenges that come with students. As you would expect, I think what we've noticed is that students are just getting exponentially more weary as the war continues. And so we noticed that especially last year. And I think what we've noticed this year was not only an additional weariness, but also a, a palpable distraction that was coupled with that weariness. And so it manifested itself in some interesting ways that we hadn't seen in previous years. Namely, that students seem to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more open, or a little bit less open, rather, to discussing the Bible, a little bit less open relationally. And so that created some interesting dynamics throughout the week. Now, as the week went along, students started to open up both to being willing to discuss what they're thinking, and as we're reading through the Bible together, and also open up to us relationally. It just didn't happen as quickly as we normally see it take place in an average year, if you could put it that way.
Okay. Well, did you have people? I know last year's camp, you were talking about people from different regions, not just Western Ukraine like it used to be. Did you have what was the kind of the makeup of the student population this time? Was it localized from Western Ukraine or more more broad?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it's similar to last year. We had a lot of students from Western Ukraine, but also a lot of students from other parts of Ukraine who had experienced this war in different ways and were coming in with maybe more trauma than others from areas that are further removed from the front.
Okay. Do you think that how does that play out in the camp, or how does that play out in how you conduct your let's say English Bible, or the themes that you talk about at night, knowing that these kids are a little bit wearier and some of them are who's personally and or their families have experienced trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that weariness and that weariness that increases exponentially combined with that distraction just makes it really hard. There's really no capacity. I think if I was to, theorize, there's very little capacity, even if they wanted to engage with these really deep, big personal questions that we're talking about as we read through the Bible during the week. And so again, what we saw, I think, early on was maybe something we perceived initially as maybe caution or closed offness, but maybe it was just they just didn't have the capacity at that point because they're just exhausted. Plus, with the attacks ongoing, there was a huge attack during that week in Kyiv. We have some students who had family there, so naturally, their hearts, their minds are going to be there, and so I think we just noticed that much more this year.
Yeah. Well, I see a slow, degradation of our own capacities as the
Yeah,
as the
well
months go
said.
on. And so I I understand it. I mean, just the ability, the capacity to think, and then the desire to actually talk about things that take a lot of energy or emotional energy or whatever. Some of it's just
I,
like be content to sit, look at each
yeah,
other. So,
yeah. As one of our student volunteers put it, and she recently has come to faith after really wrestling with some deep questions of God's justice and goodness, and still allowing something like this to take place. She and she's still wrestling with that to some extent, like we all are. But she's come to a place where she's learned to trust the Father with those questions, despite not having clear answers to them. But she was saying that for many students, they're probably coming into this after 3.5 years of war, wondering how can there be any good? How can there be any justice? How can a God who allows this to take place be good and just. And she's probably right. A lot of these students are coming in with those questions.
Yeah.
And so that might contribute to this as well, sort of a almost a disbelief that this could even be possible.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think some of the student interactions that I had, shallow answers given by some churches, maybe, or religious groups, if you try to heal this lightly, they sniff
That's
that
right.
out in 2 seconds. So I was dealing with people that had blown religion off, blown Christianity off because of people saying trite little nonsense. Um, and so a lot of it was agreeing with them that what they rejected is what I would reject as well, and then coming back to who Jesus really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I think this year that's why we wanted to change some aspects of our tone this year in emphasizing more quickly, because we walk through the story of the Bible, God's creation, how Adam rebelled and how sin entered the world through that, and then how and how that affects us in our world today. In past years, we would let students sit with that a little bit more in order to feel the weight of sin, the realities of it, so as to create a sense of alarm or urgency to hear, okay, what am I supposed to do? Or rather, what God has done about this. This year, we wanted to present or enter into or present that hope, that gospel hope earlier on, that even you see in Genesis 3, verse 15, where God promises to send someone to crush the serpent's head, that we find out later to be the Messiah, Jesus. And so we tried to change that tone, and I think that was helpful. But still, we encountered those challenges nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, you've got a lot of experience, but I think really what's needed is the ability to assess and calibrate. What does it mean to love these students where they are? What communicates the gospel to them, as everyone's mental capacities are definitely degraded in a bit. I did feel like there was more of a trauma. You go through trauma, care training. I don't know how many I've been through. I can't remember, which I think is a sign of both trauma and trauma care. But you just can't. Some kids are just not going to cognitively be able to go from 1 + 2 all the way to 100, and
That's right.
as a response. So it doesn't mean you're illogical, but you're just being present and trying to address the issues on the levels they can. And I saw a big emphasis on trying to kind of calibrate to love people, and it's very hard. Now, do you have any other? You have some stories here of some particular students or things that you saw that you want to
Yeah,
share with people?
and I would, just to cap that last part with some general impressions before we get to some specific stories. So the challenges were unique and acute this year, and yet, as I said, by the end of the week, we were starting to see students open up, warm up to us relationally. And so I think we ended moving in the right direction. And there was some momentum from that carried on into, so we have a number of follow-up events after the camp here in Lviv that's designed really to act as a bridge between the camp and the fall semester,
Okay.
and to make being part of this student fellowship and community normative back in the city. And so we have seen, high numbers at the big events that we've had. So that's really encouraging. And so I think things ended moving in the right direction. Again, it felt different than in previous years. And so, yeah, I do have a couple stories that really, I think, illustrate that. If you want to bring up one of the pictures that I sent you. So the young woman I want to tell you guys about, her name is Yulia. She's there in the yellow jacket. So we met her. Well, she returned to this year as a camp to the camp as a student volunteer, and she had first attended last summer. So she's from a city in eastern Ukraine called Kryvyi Rih, which is way out, pretty close to the front. I mean, relatively speaking, and didn't grow up in any sort of church. She didn't come from any sort of Christian background. And so all she had were, certain stereotypes that she had grown up with about who Christians are, what they say, how they act. And it was at camp last year, looking back, she's able to see this, that she heard the gospel for the first time, which, as she told me later, both really bothered her and moved her deeply. And so it was out of being bothered and moved that she wanted to be a part of Leopolis, which is the name of our student ministry here in the city, that she got immediately plugged in and became very actively involved over the last year. She started attending worship service at Holy Trinity off and on over that time. And it was over that period that she discovered I'm trying to kind of synthesize many conversations I've had with her, not a dry, distant idea of God, but rather she began to discover a God who is real, who is personal, living, and a God, as it turns out, that was seeking her and calling her, drawing her to himself. And so over the course of the spring, I could sense she was very close to faith. And it was at the camp itself as she got to hear the gospel story in its fullness one more time that she finally responded in faith. And she told me after the camp, Jon, if you had told me a year ago that I would be sitting here telling you this today, that I am now a follower of Jesus, I would have told you, you would have been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she immediately called her family, her parents, and some of her closest friends back home to tell them this, and they were surprised. Needless to say, I think that's putting it lightly, and not necessarily supportive in that. But what it shows is this real joy and excitement that she has that I think is indicative of new life that's in her heart and life. And so at our camp debrief dinner, as we got together with all the student volunteers, there was a very endearing moment as she started crying at the end of it after we had kind of concluded things, and she came up to me, and I sensed they were tears of joy, but I was curious, and so I asked her, and she said, "I'm just so amazed at how kind and good God has been to me over this last year, especially in giving me this student community." And so God is working. God is at work, not only in her heart, but especially in her heart and life. And her story is just a beautiful example of how God is reaching those who are not even seeking Him, but He's seeking them. And so please continue to pray for her and her growth. She served at Levchiki this summer, and she's going to be a lot more active in the church, I expect, in the fall. She's expressed some interest in exploring church membership. So some encouraging thing. God is doing encouraging things in her life.
Great. Yulia. Well, thank you for that story. I
Yulia.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do you have just a minute or two here to have any other stories? And you want to update?
Yeah. So there was one. So Yulia is an example of how we see, fruit in students that return to the camp. And then this year we had a student who was at the camp for the first time, Anton. He's there on the right side in the hat.
Looks like the only guy in the group. That's
yeah, that's
jackpot
right.
there.
That's right. And it's highlighting a challenge an annual challenge we have in getting getting a lot of guys at the camp, but that's another discussion for another day. So I think what we saw is that he came to faith during the week. He told me, or during the camp itself, he told me a couple days ago, it was very interesting. We were walking home from one of our follow-up events, and his dormitory is in the same neighborhood as where we live. And he came up to me and said, "Jon, I just have to tell you what happened at camp." It wasn't even solicited from me. He really felt that he needed to tell me. And he said, "My worldview has completely shifted. Before I was terrified of God, but now I love him because I have seen, or I have come to understand his grace and his mercy to me through Jesus for the first time." I mean, just something like that. We don't see it often at the camp, but it was just so humbling, so deeply encouraging to hear. And And in that moment, I realized that this is a response that only the Spirit can bring about. Because sometimes you'll hear from students caught up in the sentimentality at the end of the camp. Oh, this was the best camp I've been to, or I loved reading the Bible, but it may not be entirely sincere. But the things that he was saying and the way he was saying it just really felt very sincere. He also shared with me that one of the things he struggled with most in life, in addition to being terrified of God, but now having a completely different view and disposition towards him through the gospel, is he's also really struggled with finding and keeping friends. And he said something to the effect of, I've never been able to get people to like me, which, you can imagine just made my heart break in that moment. But at the camp, he experienced something else very new, others pursuing him and thereby reflecting the very same love that he was coming to experience from God during that week. And so, in other words, Anton didn't just meet Jesus at the camp, but he found something else that he had been so deeply longing for his entire life. Real love and real friends who are there to support him, who are pursuing him, and who have accepted him and invited him into this community. And so now he's just, as you can probably tell, he's marked by this deep sense of joy and peace, the kind you often see from people in the Bible when they encounter the love of Christ, when they hear the gospel for the first time, like the woman in Simon's house in Luke 7, who weeps at Jesus' feet because she can in no other way express just how deeply grateful she is for the love she's found in him. So he's been active at follow-up events. He was at worship today. And so please pray for his young faith and for him to get deeply connected next semester.
Good. Well, that was exciting. I mean, the Lord's at work. He does everything, all kinds of things that we won't know about until the day He returns. But it's encouraging to hear that. Thank you for your hard work, putting so many things together, organizing the camp so many different types of training can take place. So thank you for that, and pass along our love to Olia. Thank you for staying up. I know this is way past your bedtime. I think you go down at like 7:30 or 8. So it's good. It's good. It's good.
I wish.
I wish. Good that you stayed up. So thank you very much, Jon. Thanks for the time. I just want to update everybody else on a few things. There will be a prayer. Let me share this few with you guys, if I can. Well, technologically challenged tonight. Sorry about that. This is a group that meets. This is Cindy, and some people that pray for Ukraine. One, we want to thank you for your prayers and support. We may not know who you are, and you may not totally know everyone you're praying for, but thank you. We are sustained, and the church continues to stand and move forward through your prayers and your support. We really appreciate that. Cindy continues to have prayer. She's moving it to the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's the second Tuesday of each month, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can contact her at cindy.cratesforukraine@gmail.com if you want to participate. They get together and they pray for everyone via Zoom. And so it's really Friends for Ukraine. I want to thank you for praying for the camp, the VBS, the interns. We had interns this year, both Ukrainian interns, 1, 2, and 3, and then these American interns that came. So the last interns will leave tomorrow morning. They were a massive blessing. Thank you for the prayers, for the safety. They are here to learn more about God's mission, but engage in a way to serve, and they were a big blessing to everyone. So thank you for your prayers for that. We will have a phone call in another month. So let me know if the prayer update is helpful or things you want to hear on the call that maybe I'm not doing as well. I mean, granted, I know things are a little bit wobbly here, but if there's some information that you're missing, or you'd like to hear more on, please let me know. I'll do my best, and we will try and have a phone call next month. We're continuing to raise money for Crates for Ukraine. That's still open. We're trying to get another $60K to have a full shipment. The needs are still high. We're still sending things out, but we have pretty much exhausted the stuff that's come in. We're trying to get in the last 60K to have a full shipment. So that is still open. And we thank you very much. I'll go to the Q&A. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those. Okay, the name of the man that John was just talking about, his name is Anton or Anton. I think that's how we say it, Anton. So you can pray for him. What John didn't mention is, well, anyway, he's just a lovely guy. We was at church today. He was like all over Sunday school. We talked about, we did the 23rd Psalm and talking about, is God really a shepherd? And he's really been excited about that, knowing that he has access to a living God, a living, powerful, personal God, rather than having to go through the apparatus of the church, through priest, etc. So, okay, let me see. The couple that spoke at General Assembly was Ivan and Lucy Bespalov. Bespalov, B-E-S, Bespalov. Ivan and Lucy. So he's the pastor at Church of the Holy Trinity in Kyiv. So thank you all for praying. Thank you for writing your congressman. The pressure on Republicans is working. I think continue to impress upon your representatives that supporting the church in Ukraine is in the U.S. interest, both its both its soul morality, but also allowing the Ukraine church to live free from Russian occupation. So continue to pray. Thank you so much for your support. We will see you in 1 month. Thank you very much. Here's a quick question. The summer internship ran 4 weeks this year. It's going to be open next year for seminary students and upperclassmen or couples that think they might want to serve long term. Obviously, we have kind of a war context, so there's a few wrinkled ankles going on there. But it's 4 weeks. We may extend that to 5 maybe next year. It really depends on our capacity. It's a training internship in mission, evangelism, identity in the gospel, history of missions, philosophy of ministry, and then just serving in these related ways. So if you're interested or know someone's interested, please let us know. We'll probably open that up in the fall through Mission to the World. And that was a great blessing. All right. I want to congratulate Scotty Scheffler as a Presbyterian. We've all got to fight our battles. He won the Open for all of us Presbyterians. So thank you, Scotty Scheffler. And then the rest of us are going to go back to the front lines wherever the Lord has you. Be faithful, bring God glory. See you in a month. Take care. Bye-bye.